no hero, no hero, no hero left. Unsung. I said no hero, no hero, no hero left. Unsung.
Welcome back to the Unsung Heroes podcast. This is a podcast where four of us friends and our editor Austin, director Austin, whatever you want to call him, get together and talk about a person from history who is unsung in that not a lot of people know about them, but they're also a hero in that they've done something great for humankind, for their community, whatever it may be. So today I'm Daniel, the host of this episode. Today I'm joined by Samuel.
What's up?
Jonny.
Hey.
And James. James, you want to...
I felt the pressure of doing what you do, and I couldn't do it.
Okay, the video podcast will see you, but the audio only need to hear you. And then we have Austin, who is our producer on set. We ask him to show up any photos for our video podcast or come up with any facts that we might need.
The real MVP.
Double-checked or anything like that.
The legend.
So today's episode, I am very excited to share with you guys.
Wait. So this is the Unsung Heroes podcast. What do we do at the end, Daniel?
Oh, at the end, we write and sing an original song about this person so that they're no longer unsung.
That's right. Don't forget it.
Yeah.
So,
what do we do? Yeah. I say that, but there are songs about this person in a certain language.
Ruined.
But I feel like we're kind of been on this kick of there's songs about him, but whatever.
But we write better ones.
Yes.
We did Admiral Yi one time, who's like the national hero of Korea.
Like stuff like that. Exactly.
Okay.
The Western audience doesn't really, or a lot of our listeners are mostly from the US.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't really know about non-US people as much. So
yeah, our definition of unsung is a little bit loose. We realize that. There's some of these people you may have even heard of before, but we like to keep it. That's just what we do on this podcast.
This is what we do. This is for fun. We don't have any shareholders that we're beholden to.
That's right.
I guess
sponsors.
I guess the audience and each other.
We have no ads.
No ads. Yeah. As much as we shill for a lot of companies, actually, weirdly.
Please. I'm begging.
But our goal, so as we usually say, is to leave no hero unsung.
Leave no hero unsung. That's so in this episode, we'll leave no hero Englishly unsung. Although honestly, there's probably English songs about it. But you guys, you guys will understand. And a part of my hint for you guys is the attire that I'm wearing. What does this t-shirt say?
You describe it for the audience.
Well, it partially says Istanbul.
Partially says Istanbul.
Is this Atatürk, bro?
Today's episode is about a man named Mustafa Kemal Atatürk.
This is great.
So I know you guys probably know a fair bit about him because you guys are well-traveled, educated people.
Ever since we started this podcast, Daniel has said, I'm going to do an episode on Atatürk.
For this moment.
Wait a minute. When we were in 6th grade together,
I said I would talk about it.
You always would talk about the...
I turned to James in 6th grade and I said, one day you and I are going to do a podcast and I'm going to talk about Atatürk.
This is what happened. This is actually exactly what happened. Wow.
But so one of the reasons for this is the last couple of weeks have been crazy in our lives and our daughter has an ear infection. So I just haven't really had time to research and I had to find someone who in an hour I could,
So you're doing
I had
this
enough information.
from memory, right?
Partial memory, partial laziness.
When times get really hard, what gets me going, what gets me up in the morning is thinking
my daughter's crying. I'm like,
Kemal Atatürk.
Think about Atatürk, man. What would he do? So
that's funny.
For those who don't know, Daniel is Turkish.
Yes, I am from Turkey.
Just make sure we say that at the front.
You gotta put the context in there.
Yeah.
This guy is essentially like the George Washington of Turkey. So in that sense, he is not at all unsung in Turkey and probably a lot of European, Asian circles as well. I'm sure he's fairly well known still. Interestingly enough, James, as you were mentioning the years on the last episode of the guy you were talking about, what was he born, 1875? 75 and then died 1930 something?
Yeah. Yes.
Those are right around the times of Atatürk.
Absolutely.
So before we talk about him, let's talk about the Ottoman Empire, which is one of my favorite parts of history. Because to understand Atatürk, you have to understand what the Ottoman Empire was and why it got to where it was.
Real quick, do we have to put a disclaimer on how long this episode is going to be? Because you could talk for 3 hours at least.
You thought James was the long-winded one, but I'm the sneaky.
Exactly.
When it comes to Ottoman Empire, no, we're going to be fast. You guys,
the Roman Empire.
We have
really some say was founded in the 800s.
Okay.
It's got to get
to understand the Ottoman Empire. You have to understand
the Byzantine Empire, which is the Roman,
which is from the Roman Empire. So let's go back.
And then there's the Persians.
Yes, and then the Greeks. So really, Egypt. I don't know. We can keep going.
It's the world history podcast.
But one of the reasons we have Austin here is to make sure we're on time. So he'll make sure we're not going over too crazy. Yeah. So the Ottoman Empire, when did it start? Do you guys know?
1453.
So
Well, that is one of the best years
Seljuks occupy
of
most of
history.
Anatolia. Osman the First, I think, is the first kind of ruler of the Ottomans. He comes
Honestly,
around the
James
late
could
Middle
just do
Ages,
this podcast.
and then eventually they dominate the region. You have Mehmed
Yes.
II, who takes Istanbul.
Yes. So it starts
yeah.
in Anatolia in 1299, which,
Yep.
you have a lot of these Turkic tribes being pushed west
Yes.
from it's not the Mongols, like just all those,
The Timurids.
the Timurids. Yeah. So, all these tribes, essentially, they can't do anything. They're just escaping. And that's kind of ultimately what brings down the demise of the Byzantines is all these tribes having no place to go but west.
Right.
So at this time, there are a lot of these beyliks, which is kind of like lords essentially that own little territories, tons of factionalism. And Osman he just prevails as the strongest one, brings most of them together. And the name Ottoman in Turkish is Osmanlı,
Right.
which means of Osman.
Of Osman, yeah.
So it's the Ottoman Empire is from his name because he's the one who started it.
It's one of like these regional factions of the Seljuk Turks, basically.
Yes. Yeah. And so ultimately 1453, one of the greatest years ever.
Worst-
I mean,
worst-
I kind of
worst
jokingly
year.
said that, whatever. But they
To give the audience some
finally,
context, I study late antiquity, Roman Empire.
Yes.
They're kind of my thing. Love Byzantium. Daniel, of course, being the Ottoman here.
Yes.
We've always
There's a little-
traditionally
James and I
clashed.
have had dark humor of if we
Lots.
were in the Crusades, we would be on
We
opposite
would, yeah.
sides.
But we'd have that amazing story of friendship where like we get
Yes.
lost together
This-
and we lose our battalions and we become like best
Then
buddies.
we realize we actually have a lot more in
and
common.
then we bring the empires together
Yeah.
and like
Wow.
it's a
What kind of alternative?
like-
Yeah, I was
It's-
gonna say this is a
small-
complete alternate history.
Yeah, I don't think that happened in the Crusades.
I want to hear
but
about this story a little
Anyway,
bit.
so
So we have two people who know a lot about Turkish and Ottoman and all this history, but you're gonna have to dumb it down for some people like
anyway,
me.
shut up, Johnny. So as you know, Mehmed II. Yes, yeah, we will. We
confused.
will.
Johnny, I think we're the stand-ins for the audience.
Yeah.
This
So-
episode.
Awesome,
I'll
if you
try
could-
to ask all of the audience good questions the audience might
that's
have.
a good point.
Austin,
Right.
if you could go ahead and pull up a map of the Ottoman Empire at its height so we can show these guys in our audience on the video podcast what it looked like. So 1453, they took Constantinople, which was after years of the Byzantines holding out because it's a really hard city to penetrate. And it grew from there. Ultimately, it holds lands all the way from Eastern Europe. They go to the gates of Vienna, down to most of North Africa, to like Algeria, a lot of the Middle East, into Iran, Iraq area, up the Caucasus, and then modern day Turkey. So it's a whole.
one of the biggest empires of its day.
Yes, it really was. And it lasted pretty much all the way through World War I era. So it's like 600 years of this empire. But after 1453, in the 15th, 16th centuries when they enter their golden age, and it's really seen as one of the biggest empires and one of the best militaries in the world. Right. And it's ironically, one of the things that made the Ottomans the best was their quick adaptation to technology at first, like gunpowder, cannons, siege weapons. Like they were just really adopted it super fast. And another thing was their ability to recruit, I'll say vassals for the lack of a better word, of people from the territories that they conquered to go over those lands, and they'd send a lot of these eunuchs, unfortunately, back to Constantinople to train so they could go back to their own culture.
Yeah, they'd like take people, conquer them, take their children, raise them as janissaries,
Yes.
which are like their elites.
Yes,
It's
which
crazy.
is the elite.
Yeah, it's
so
crazy.
it was really smart in that sense. There it is. So
look at
it's
that.
it's a lot of land. It's a lot of land. But and I say the word ironically because both of those things are kind of ultimately why it falls is because so after the golden age, there's just a constant continual decline of this empire. And one of the reasons is technology. They're just not keeping up with modernization nearly as much as the European countries mainly. Yeah. But even Russia, as they're trying to get their stuff together, they're industrializing at an incredible rate. And then there's a lot of power vacuums that come from their janissary style, vassal, vizier style rule. So there's tons of revolts, and it just gets really harder and harder for them to rule this land.
Yeah.
And then obviously the age of colonialism, and there's puppet states, and all these nations have vested interest in oil in Iran, Iraq area. So just all this other stuff's popping up.
Then they also have this practice. I remember my college prof, Dr. Yandel. Remember Dr. Yandel?
Dr. Yandel,
He
shout
talked
out.
about the fact that the Ottomans had a system wherein the person who got to be the next sultan
Yes.
was like the last one standing. So
Yes, 'cause
the sultan
anytime-
would sire all these children.
Anytime so yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah.
you hear of the
Right.
sultan's harem, so there's tons of
Right.
concubines, tons of children.
Right.
And as soon as a sultan dies, it's essentially a bloodbath to see which of the
Right.
brothers
Right.
will kill or imprison or exile everyone else.
And so eventually out of that, because they're so scared of that happening, they started secluding all the heirs in like the Topkapi Palace, where they were just like sheltered kids with no experience. And so a lot of the sultans got weakened because of this in a sense.
So, and as they start
Yeah.
weakening, you kind of around like the late 1800s, you start having different secret societies prop up that are forcing the sultanate, we'll say, to drop their power more and more. So that it becomes a little more like a parliamentary system where the sultan is already becoming, by World War I, it's a fairly ceremonial title. It's nowhere near the power that it had back in the day. So this is where Atatürk comes in. So he is born in 1881 in Thessaloniki in modern day Greece. Well, let's get his names out of the way first. So his full name is Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. He's born as Mustafa.
This is going to be the only episode where we get the accent perfectly right.
In Ankara, everywhere is shopping mall.
No one
So
can do that.
the name Kemal, there's different ways that it's said that he got it. One of the, not legends, I guess, one of the studies of him says that it came from his mathematics teacher when he was young to distinguish between him and another student because there were multiple Mustafas, or because the word Kemal comes from Arabic and it means perfection or maturity, and he excelled in math, so he just gave him the name Kemal to say, to
Teacher's
mark him as
pet. No,
teacher's pet, essentially.
as a teacher, I kept like, the perfect one.
The
Yes.
perfect one.
So anyway, but from that time on, he's going by Mustafa Kemal.
Mustafa Kemal, yeah.
And I might be changing his name back and forth. I might be saying Mustafa Kemal. I'll most likely say Atatürk, although that name isn't given to him until much later.
Right, sure.
But
Is Atatürk like father of the Turks, or what is
dude,
that?
spoilers. Yes, we'll get there.
The
So
Turkish audience is like, I know that. It says this is his name. Yeah.
Turkish audience skip to the end
Is
of this
Alexander
episode.
going to be great? Like,
Alexander the what?
Alexander
What
the
does the great
okay.
mean? So I'll refer to him as Atatürk. So his parents are Ali Rıza Efendi, who's a military officer from originally northern Macedonia. So again, like it's interesting to read about people from the Ottoman Empire and this guy who is seen as the father of Turks, born in modern day Greece, fathers from modern day Macedonia. So there's a lot of confusion sometimes of what really was people's ethnicity who were Ottoman around this time. And honestly, you look at a lot of sultans, it's interesting because the early sultans look very Ottoman, huge mustaches, look very Middle Eastern.
right.
But then you look at the last few and they look very westernized.
Oh yeah.
So
Well, there's a whole debate amongst like a lot of Turks today I know discussing their own ancestry, like how much of it's Greek, how much of it's Anatolian. And
which honestly I feel like happens a lot in Ottoman and probably other kind of Asian-esque not colonies, empires, where in these harems you end up having a lot of white women, European women. So then a lot of the royal bloodline ends up getting very westernized.
Austin, can you pull up a picture of the current descendants of the last sultan?
Oh yes, I saw this picture. Yes,
This will probably prove your point. Maybe the audience can see it too. It's like
I feel like such a bystander watching these two.
Okay, sorry, we
go
shouldn't
back.
lie,
Sorry,
guys.
It's the level they know.
Johnny, what do you want to
it's
say
fun,
right
it's
now?
fun.
I'm just glad they're not both sitting on that couch. Like
Sam,
at least
could
I
you-
can like.
We'll just
Sam,
start
get
our
up.
own episode right over here.
It's like me, that meme. The guy's like, "Hey, it's against."
All right. Okay. I don't know how long we're already
Austin's
into
got a
it. I
picture
need
there.
to.
There it is. There
So
they are.
these are
Wow.
the current descendants. They look nothing like me. And
Right.
I'm not even the most like Ottoman-looking Turk. I feel like I look
You
kind
should
of
grow your
westernized
mustaches out a
myself.
little bit. That'd be kind of cool.
Probably
You could-
should,
yeah, bring it back.
They kind of look like that 90s band Hanson. Those like three boys that are blonde. or whatever.
Yes, so that's Johnny's.
That's my
your
insight.
insight into this
My
episode.
contribution to the episode.
All right, so I need to hold on. Let me just get through a few of these real quick because I don't want to dilly-dally too much in the beginning. But
Still in the
this is
beginning.
important. His mom wants him to attend religious school, so he attends it for a little bit, but then drops out. And then his father puts him in a more secular school, where it's less about religion, more about the academics. His father dies when he's 7, and then without telling his family, Atatürk takes the entrance exam to the local military school, and then goes to Constantinople to join the Ottoman Military Academy in 1899. So when he's 17, 18, and then graduates from there 1902, and then joins the Ottoman Military College and graduates from there in 1905. So he's already going right into military life from the Ottoman Military College.
And this is when our last episode's guy was on the island of Tabar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Yeah,
right.
so it's,
Carl
as you're
Pedersen.
talking about that, it's interesting because like
Carl
something,
Pedersen.
yeah, something
Contemporaries.
completely different is happening on another
That's
side
crazy.
of the
Yeah,
world.
right.
So,
It's fun.
so he starts off his life after graduation. He was arrested by the police for taking part in some activities against Abdul Hamid II, who's the Sultan at the time.
Right, right.
And then,
Was anti-Sultan sentiment pretty strong at this point already?
yes,
I know they'd lost they've lost some wars against Russia, the Crimean War. There's some things going on, but
Well, I mean, yeah, that stuff was a little bit before, but right around this
yeah.
time. So what ends up happening is he has some support from his former school director and then gets released after a few months. And after that, he's assigned to the 5th Army based in Damascus in Syria as a staff captain. So then he joins a small secret revolutionary society of reformists led by a guy named, I'm just going to say a few names just because I feel like they're kind of cool, Mustafa Elvan. And then it's called Vatan ve Hürriyet, which means motherland and liberty. So he gets both into the military life. He's under the Ottoman military, but he's also joining these secret societies and revolutionary groups.
Right.
And honestly, what I then realized, in school as I'm taught Ottoman Empire stuff in Turkey is you're just never really told about these secret societies as much. So to research it in an English Western lens, you see that there are a lot of these, I don't know what word, like revolutionaries, I guess we'll call them, that he's surrounded by. And so the military becomes very politicized in Turkey across these couple decades. So then
pretty
he's
dangerous time for the
very
Sultan.
dangerous
yes.
time.
Yeah.
So then he's sent to Macedonia, and then he joins ultimately the Committee of Union and Progress, which is a faction of the Young Turks. You might have heard of the Young Turks. It's a very
Yeah, that's right.
polarizing society
Right.
because they're both seen as pushing a lot of reform and modernizing Turkey, but also there's a lot of things like the Armenian genocide that is
That was the
attested to them.
Pashas did that, right? Or is that are they part of the same?
Yes. I mean, I think there's like kind of lines in history get a little blurred with who was involved with that.
It's been too long since I've studied this. Yeah.
So there's a Young Turk Revolution.
Games are getting rusty.
Come on,
man.
There's a Young Turk Revolution in 1908, and then this is a constitutional revolution. So it kind of reminds me, I don't know if it's the right thing to say, but what is that in England? What was it, Henry the something, where they make him put law in place instead of the king or something like that? Do you guys remember that?
Well, there's the Glorious Revolution. This is with
Oh.
Charles II.
Are you
Trying to
talking like
remember.
when they
They come to the king and they're like, yo, we're banning against you, so you have to now essentially
John the First, the Magna Carta.
This
Magna
sounds
Magna
like-
Carta.
Magna
Yes,
Carta.
that's
That's the
what I'm
first
thinking of.
time, yes.
That's
Yeah.
kind of what it reminded me of. I don't know if it's the
know a
right
few of those
analogy
words.
to do. So I'm reaching for other parts of history
There we
that
go.
you guys might know.
That sounds familiar.
So essentially, this is one of the things that forces Sultan Abdul Hamid II to restore the constitution, recall the parliament, and schedule an election. So this begins. So there was a first constitutional era. So this is the second constitutional era, right around 1908. But there's a lot of political instability, as you guys can see. And so Atatürk around this time, he is seeing that the army is becoming really politicized. And so he's kind of starting to push against that. But the leaders of the CUP don't love this because obviously they're kind of pushing for this politicization of the military and the army. So he is sent to present day Libya, essentially in a way to get him out of the capital, but also
put him in the
just
hinterland province,
essentially, yeah. And then he comes back to Constantinople, and there he suppresses a counter revolt by the more like Ottoman loyalists. And then he travels to France for training, he even serves as the Ministry of War. So I want to give a little of this context to show you this guy's already in the military.
Right.
He's respected well enough. He's been sent Syria, Macedonia, Libya, like he's seen all parts of the empire.
He's been in France too.
Yeah, and he's in
so
France and different military training. He becomes a Ministry of War for a short period. So he's very accomplished already. So in the First World War, the Ottoman Empire in 1914 joins the Central Powers,
Right.
much to the chagrin of Atatürk, who says this is a fatal mistake. But he's still fighting for his empire, I guess, was the country.
Right.
Ultimately, I'll skip all these details. What happens is the Central Powers lose, as you guys know, and Germany is forced to pay a lot of reparations, which kind of leads to World War II in a sense. So Turkey's boon from the end of this war is the Ottoman Empire essentially is going to get started being carved out by the Allied powers.
Right.
And what's interesting during this time is they come, and I think it's Britain that occupies Constantinople, and then Izmir, which is one of the major cities in the west, also gets occupied.
I've been there actually. To Izmir.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. It's a good place for digs. That's where the 7 churches in Revelation are, right
That's
around
right.
that
Yeah,
area.
yeah.
And so that kind of sparks the Turkish War of Independence, as all these countries are coming in to divide up the country. And I didn't realize this until I researched it now, but the Western Front was led into, like, after World War I, as they're divvying up the country, the Western Front is led by the Greeks. So there's this interesting politics going on where the Allied powers are, wanting pieces of the country for themselves. Britain is mostly interested in Iraq because of the oil, so they don't really care. And the other place they all really care about is the Bosphorus Strait for connection to Russia and the Black Sea and free trade. So, but they realize, countries like Britain realize, we can't get the public to, after this 4 or 5 year World War I, which is the worst war history humans have ever seen. They think we can't get people to field more armies. So
the imperialist project was on its way out for the British.
Yes. So they decide to focus on Iraq. And then a lot of, like, Spain, France, they kind of end up more backing Greece, so that Greece will kind of do the dirty work. They'll give them finances, whatnot. What's interesting around this time, in World War I, like, Russia kind of joins, but then they kind of leave and have their own, like, revolt, and then they come back. So what's interesting is, do you guys know anything about the Bolsheviks?
Yes.
A little bit.
So Atatürk.
But for the sake of the audience, why don't you explain a little bit more?
Did you guys either of you
one
like
of
to
us-
say?
What are the Bolsheviks?
Bolsheviks.
What are the Bolsheviks? So there's the Bolsheviks and the Mensheviks, which isn't it like literally the words for
Bolshevik
like
is like
the
more,
most or the majority, and like
yes.
the minority?
Which
The
is funny
majority and
though.
the minority.
From what I remember, the Bolsheviks were actually the minority, even though the name is.
Fix that, Mike.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
here we go.
We're gonna call them the.
We're gonna. So if I remember, the Bolsheviks were the minority, even though the name actually means majority.
Yes.
And Mensheviks were the majority, even
It's
though.
reverse psychology.
Right.
That's genius, dude.
It's so funny.
We're
So-
getting the minority position now. It's like, wait a minute.
Wait a minute. How's it feel being in the minority?
What are you talking about?
So around this time, in 1919, Atatürk lands in Samsun, which is North Turkey, almost like northeastern. And this is 19th of May. This is kind of seen for Turks as like the date that marks the beginning of the war. And so he essentially goes on a national tour to organize a national movement of resistance against the occupying forces. And a lot of generals start kind of saying, hey, we're with you. But the Ottoman Empire's, against this, because it's mostly like a puppet state at this point through Britain and other colonial powers.
Wait, did I miss the story about the Bolsheviks? Did you?
Yes.
actually
So
say?
where that will come into play is, let me get this first. So in 1920, Britain dissolves the parliament in Constantinople as they're trying to, finally end the Ottoman Empire. So then Atatürk calls for a national election to reinstate it in Ankara, which ultimately becomes the capital. So on April 23rd, 1920, the Grand National Assembly opens, and Mustafa Kemal is the speaker, and he's ultimately picked as the executive, the chair of the committee. So this gives him the legitimacy, the political legitimacy he'll need moving forward. So now, with one of the things that this Grand National Assembly does is they partner with the Bolsheviks, and through that, Atatürk and like Lenin get in contact. So what's interesting is right around this time, because of the rise of communism, fascism that's already beginning in Europe and Asia Minor, Turkey and Russia ally solely on the premise of being anti-West. Because, Atatürk's thinking the occupying forces are all the West, we need to kick them out. And Russia's thinking we need to lessen the legitimacy and strength of the imperial Western powers. So they provide thousands of rifles and hundreds of thousands of ammunition to Turkey. So that's how they're able to start a war and actually maintain a war, is really through the supply of the Russians during
they
this
did
time.
similar things in many places around the world.
Yeah.
Russia was doing this. In the,
So
They're still doing it.
they're still doing
in one
it.
sense,
Yes. Okay. Well, let's see what other we want to. Okay. So one of the interesting quotes is Atatürk insists on the country's independence. and safeguarding the interests of the Turkish majority on Turkish soil. So there's essentially what is modern day Turkey. They carve out as saying, this is our heartland. We cannot give this away.
Yeah.
So basically, I mean, they're basically like, they're in a bad place.
They're in a really bad
Right.
place.
He's
Yeah. Like the whole world's against them.
He's trying to find a way to
essentially.
salvage a situation,
Yeah.
find political and military backing, while also ousting a lot of Western spheres of influence.
Yes,
that's
exactly, yeah.
Tough situation.
So and he's doing this while there's a diarchy or whatever it's called. So there's
Right.
still the Ottoman puppet states
Exactly.
that calls for his arrest.
Right.
Wow.
Oh, right.
So he's trying to. So he really needed that outside power
So
to
where
help.
is he at this point?
So he's going all around the country, but Ankara, which is
Okay.
like more central Turkey, is where now they're basing this Grand National Assembly.
Okay.
And then one of the biggest changes in this time is, like I said, a lot of the colonial powers will say Western powers are backing Greece in the West. In the East, it's more Armenia, which there's a lot of atrocities that happen there. Honestly, a lot of Turks kind of still deny it. I don't deny it. It's
that's a big
history.
old
It
fuss,
happened.
yeah.
It's really sad. But they do beat back. They push a lot of like Armenian army and influence away. And then as the Greeks are coming in, and a little bit of like, I think there's a little bit of the Ionian pride as trying to get back that Asia Minor area.
Yeah.
I didn't realize this, but they get within like 100 miles of Ankara. So they're actually really into, like, I thought when I look at present day Turkey, that they got stopped like way past Istanbul or something, but they got pretty deep. And that really is where Atatürk and a few of his generals we won't get into the battle tactics, but they are pretty smart people and they're using their defenses really well. And I think that, but also the Western powers didn't expect how long this war would be. So they start losing the ability to support this war, and they lose logistics. And
It's already after World War One.
Right.
So
yeah,
how much
it's
war do they
been
want to
a
fight?
lot of countries are already losing a lot of stuff, also a lot of men. So like, how far can you really go? So then another interesting thing that happens is, as they start so the Western powers start meeting with the General National Assembly. So they kind of start giving a little legitimacy to this party. And
once you start, negotiating.
yeah,
it
once
gives
you start negotiating,
legitimacy.
you're like, okay. So then there's, treaties that are sent to them, but they always reject them because they're saying we will not give up any of this land until Turkey has full independence. And so they finally beat back the Greek lines and regain control of Izmir. So they're taking like back all over Western Europe. And so there's a major battle in September 1922. And the day after the battle, Atatürk sends a telegram to the League of Nations stating that the Turkish population was so worked up that the Ankara government would not be responsible for ensuing massacres. So this guy is pretty ballsy.
Wow.
But it's interesting because, I mean, it's like very dictator speak, but this is kind of where
This is the
the
world.
lines get blurred.
A little blurred.
This is the world that they were living in. Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like the Washington stuff. While people will say, "Oh, he was kind of a dictator or tyrant," and it's like, well, the country kind of needed a dictator in a way.
Yikes,
If you
Daniel.
read Mistborn in the second book, when Elend needs
So
to be a
true,
tyrant,
dude,
but he
so
can't, and he
true.
loses the city. Spoiler alert, stuff
Yeah.
like
No,
that.
it's as Westerners, it's baked into our DNA to think democracy equals good. This is Turkey. This is a different world, different paradigm, different framework. They're operating in different assumptions.
Also, there
This
is
this is a different podcast we're starting here.
like political philosophy.
Yes, a lot of
Yeah.
political
So
stuff.
no, there is like a what is that? During the Civil War, when Abraham Lincoln called the
oh yeah,
what is that Latin term?
Habeas
Habeas corpus,
corpus?
or something like that.
Habeas
Where
corpus.
basically like you consolidate control, and you kind of turn it in. You get rid of some of the democracy because of the emergency of the situation.
No, Abraham Lincoln did some things that make people today.
Oh
blush,
yeah,
for sure.
Makes you a little
Definitely
uncomfortable.
some
But
things.
yeah, there are definitely contexts where it's more understandable, but still from a modern Western
This
standpoint.
is the League of Nations. This is after World War One. Okay,
Yes,
so
which is set by Woodrow Wilson. is that?
pushes for that. Yeah,
Which essentially eventually becomes
its second iteration is
not
the UN,
NATO, right? The UN.
Right,
That's what
yeah.
it is. The UN. So anyway, ultimately, a lot of there's continual talk between the West and this government out of Ankara, and ultimately a treaty is signed recognizing the GNA, the General National Assembly, as the government of Turkey. And then October 29th, 1923, the Republic of Turkey is proclaimed, which is the Republic Day in Turkey.
Yeah, I was going to say, which day is like Turkish
Yes.
Independence Day?
29th of October is the Republic Day because that's when it ultimately becomes.
And when's Austin's
Republic.
birthday?
When is Austin's
30th of October?
30th? Wow. Right
Coincidence?
before Halloween.
Coincidence.
Coincidence?
not.
Republic
If
Day?
you take one day and subtract it from Austin's birthday,
Turkish
you have
Republic.
Turkish Day.
Dude,
That's funny.
world's crazy.
But
insane.
so one of the interesting things I read is supposedly that one of the reasons Turkey's able to gain legitimacy is going back to the Soviet Union connection. Atatürk is using that connection to fight the West, but as soon as they have legitimacy, he switches because he wants to be Western. He wants Turkey to be modernized and European. So he essentially is saying, you know, the Dardanelles Strait, the Bosphorus Strait is going to be free trade for the world. It's going to be open. And I think as soon as major powers like France and Britain are giving those assurances, they don't really have a reason to attack anymore. Like they don't really care anymore. So that's one of the reasons they give in. And so interestingly enough, then the West also wants, you know, a buffer state between them and the Soviet Union. Right. So Turkey is now able to leverage that. Right. So they're essentially playing both sides.
Interesting.
But ultimately, they leave Soviet Union, and so Atatürk becomes the first president of Turkey. And he changes everything. Oh yeah. And again, he rules kind of with an iron fist almost. Yeah. But it's interesting because he is trying to distance Turkey from its Ottoman past, from its religious past. So it's trying to make it so that Islam is only in the mosques and religious places, not in schools. And schools are more Western thought, more, you know, philosophy, math, academics. And women are now going to school. You know, they're playing with different ideas of you know, required education up to a certain point, stuff like that.
You know who the proper analog to Ataturk is? It's not Washington. Ataturk is Napoleon. Totally is Napoleon. He is to Turkey to me what Napoleon is to France, right? He himself in one sense is a monarch because he is an authoritarian in that sense, but he is a Enlightenment progressive kind of secularist one who does have this, you know, Napoleon famously had his own tense relationship with the Catholic Church. You know, he did the same thing. He wanted to keep it, bring it back from how far the revolution had gone, but he also wanted to keep it in its place, right? Important, but in its place. And he, you know, it's interesting how similar they feel to me in some ways. Yeah. Excellent military career.
Sam, are you going to do Napoleon for your...
All right, Napoleon.
Napoleon also put down a royalist counterinsurgency in Paris.
That's interesting.
Kind of like Ataturk put down.
There you go.
So again, there's so many things I'm going, this is a very Napoleon-esque figure to me.
I wonder if we like studied different societies throughout history, how many of those type figures we would find. I'm sure
quite a lot.
I think a lot of societies have that similar figure in their history.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like honestly, a lot of the bigger republics and empires only come because of a central authority, you know, or like the Roman Empire, like it becomes, you know, the way it changed from republic to, you know, Julius Caesar is really the person who heads it, and then Augustus, obviously. There's just so many empires and countries and republics where it takes really one person at the head to kind of take it one way. So
because empire is hard to manage. It's hard to manage collegiately. At a certain point. Interesting. That's really So you know, it's also interesting on the discussion of Islam, because one of the reasons I've always looked fondly upon Ataturk as an archaeologist is because he opened up the Hagia Sophia to the public as a museum rather than it being a mosque per se. And so now, sadly, the recent administration seems to want to go back on a lot of Ataturk's legacy. We can talk about that later, but
let's save that for the third podcast.
That's right.
But we'll talk about that portion.
But you know, all of the beautiful iconography, the frescoes you see, a lot of the ancient stuff in the church was in a sense opened up to the West because of Ataturk too. So
I do find, so I've gotten the chance to go a couple times to Turkey, and there is a really interesting vibe in Turkey where it's like Islam is very predominant. It's people are definitely devout, but there is this kind of secularism in the broader culture where it's or even just the general like mix of East and West, where you know, you can see some of the kind of traditional Middle Eastern, traditional Muslim culture, but then there is like this kind of strong Western influence. And I always thought that was just kind of the geography, but it is interesting how much Ataturk had to do with that, where bringing in the kind of Western influence.
Yeah, it was a very deliberate attempt on his part. Like he even brings this teacher philosopher from the US to have him like on the board of education essentially for a little bit to revamp what education is going to look like. He literally mandates Turks to wear modern European attire.
Right.
There's like a hat law that they come up with at some point.
Right, yeah.
That like you can't wear the fez anymore. You have to wear like modern European looking hats.
wow.
So he's trying really, really hard
Yeah. He's doing what like Peter the Great did to Russia, right? Where
yeah, like, cutting off the beards and stuff
yeah,
like that. So, and I think partially, again, the idea of a strong-willed person, I think in realizing changes like this take decades.
Oh, yeah.
So he's trying to pressure cooker everything up like into
Speed
one
running
as fast as he
modernization,
can.
Right.
Yeah.
He's literally speed running modernization. He's like got the cheat codes on. You know, he's
Well,
just-
but again, I think so much of this in his mind, probably with his upbringing and his experiences, he just kept probably seeing up close and dirty the failures of the Ottoman state.
Yes,
due
exactly.
to its lack
Yes.
of ability to adapt.
Yes.
And because that was probably associated in his mind with the older forms of religious expression, he's
Mm-hmm.
thinking, we must forego all of this if we're to step into the modern world and compete with the Western powers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think his background and the background of the Ottoman Empire give a lot of insight as to why he's trying so hard. It's because he is trying to adapt because they've never been able to adapt before.
And this was happening like everywhere. I mean, this happened in Japan. This
Yes,
happened in even
yeah.
Ethiopia had a bit of this going on. So lots of places were doing this.
Yeah.
trying to
These,
find
yeah,
ways
kind of like World War I, post World War II
Yes,
era is just
yeah,
a huge time of revolution across all these countries.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then his foreign policy is his quote as peace at home, peace in the world. So he's really focusing on saying if Turkey as a sovereign nation is good internally, then that will be peaceful outside. So after the Turkish War of Independence, he's trying to deal with every single foreign affair peacefully, like never use the military ever again in a international context. Obviously, ultimately, like in James's episode, he was saying too, rose-colored glasses. I know there's a lot of atrocities that were done throughout this war, before the war, after the war. I'm sure there was a lot of stuff in his time that people would now look back and say, well, this was a little bit of overreach, not really a Republic move.
Right.
But I mean, you can't.
Republic move, bro.
It's not really a Republic move, man. It's very un-Republic over here. But you can't deny the fact that he made Turkey what it is today and made it a more modern Western country. Like a lot of Americans will ask me, growing up as a Christian in Turkey, they'll say like, were you persecuted? How hard was it? Right. And I tell them like, I was born in the 90s in Istanbul, which is, it is a major city. So that in the West, that plays into it too. But like all my friends knew I was Christian. No one cared. Right. So to go from, the seat of the Ottoman Empire to within less than 100 years of being defeated to Christians are walking around and it's totally fine. Yeah. Right. Like that's only possible because of the secularization of the state. Yeah. And it's directly impacted my life because I was born into a Christian household there, not to make this a religious podcast. No. But so it's pretty wild to get to the conclusion of his life. He was a fairly heavy drinker. He said to have consumed half a liter of rakı every day, which is the Turkish alcohol. Smoked lots of cigarettes.
Kept insane, probably.
What is rakı made out of, Daniel?
Could you look it up, Austin? I should know this.
What is rakı made out of?
What is rakı made out of?
The ingredients.
Austin,
Recipe.
could you go ahead and make one up from the kitchen for us too?
You also smoke lots of cigarettes, but who didn't at this time?
Yeah,
right?
I know.
I mean, you're
Dude, even when I grew up in
revolutionizing
the
a
former
country,
Soviet
right?
Union, as we know, everybody and their mother was smoking cigarettes.
You can't fault him for the cigarettes. So anyway, what do we got, Aust?
Pronounce it for me again.
R-A-K-I. Rakı.
Rakı is a anise flavored alcoholic beverage made from distilled grapes. Anise is the licorice root.
Is that like
anise or anise?
Kind of
French
like
use it a
absinthe?
lot? I hate it. It tastes disgusting. Well, anise does. I honestly haven't had the rakı ever because I was not of age until I left Turkey. So.
40 to 50% ABV, which is crazy.
He's having half a liter.
Dude, the real reason he's an unsung hero is that he survived as long as he did.
He's like drunk everywhere.
That's crazy.
That's a superpower.
Maybe he was watered down. I don't know. Yeah.
So 1923 is when Turkey becomes a republic and he's the first president. 1937, he has liver failure. Alcohol, and then his throughout his presidency, his health is declining, and on November 10th, 1938, he dies in Istanbul, Constantinople. And then the last thing I'll say is in his will, he donated all of his possessions to the Republican People's Party, which he started, provided that the yearly interest of his funds be used to look after his sister Makbule and his adopted children, and fund the higher education of İsmet İnönü's children. I didn't talk about this guy at all, but he was essentially one of his right-hand men who was, who was involved incredibly in setting up a lot of the policy and going around Europe and foreign
John
policy,
Adams, if
things
you
like
would.
that.
There you go.
Sure. Or Napoleon's right
Napoleon's
hand.
friend.
Or Napoleon's friend.
Napoleon
You know,
had
you
no
know,
right-hand.
you know.
Yeah. Next podcast.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
that is how, and honestly, that's probably one of the reasons I am today.
That's so cool.
who
So
I am
yeah,
today.
my knowledge runs out at this era with Turkey, but World War II, moving on, does Turkey, I'm pretty sure Turkey doesn't engage in...
Turkey joins
Right.
in the Allied forces at like the end of the war.
Sure.
So
Smart move.
So in a
I'm
sense,
honestly
they've kind of
not-
learned a lesson Ataturk
Yeah.
taught them about involvement.
yes,
like,
not-
peace
I mean,
at
at least
home.
they didn't join
Yeah.
Germany again.
Yeah, sure.
But I honestly don't know what like I know they joined at the end,
Sure,
and then the
yeah.
war was fairly over at that point. I don't
Who's
know
gonna
what
win,
they
who's
were
gonna
doing
win?
during the
we're
time
on your side.
because unlike the U.S., the U.S. has such an interesting geographical position in all
Right.
these wars
Yes.
because Turkey's right there. So
Exactly.
I honestly don't know what happened in World
Yeah,
War II
yeah,
there.
yeah.
But anyway, but it is interesting because of one of the faults of, I think, maybe Atatürk and just that whole setup is I think the politicization of the military never really left.
Mm-hmm.
And the 1900s were plagued by what do you call it in English? Darbe, like kind of a revolution, I guess.
Yeah.
No, like a coup. A coup is more like a military coup. Coup after coup after coup. And I remember, I think it was the 70s and 80s. My dad lived through several himself, and he almost even died in one of them because there was so much factionalism. So, so in that
Daniel's
sense,
dad, unsung hero. Next
oh,
episode.
my
there
dad
we
is
go.
definitely an unsung hero, but it's. So, it's a double-edged sword. Like it left a very modern, westernized state, although most recent administration has definitely been taking a little more back to the Ottoman times, more
That's
Arab
what I was going to
times.
ask about.
So
yeah.
the Turkey you visit now is honestly not even the Turkey I grew up in. So it's already unsecularized a little bit.
Yeah. So bringing in modern geopolitics, fun story about this. I was at a hotel.
Fun modern geopolitics, everybody.
I love a good.
Shut up, Johnny.
The word fun is doing a lot of lifting here.
Okay, you know what?
Go ahead.
There you go.
No, please. I'm interested now.
I love geopolitics stories.
Okay, I was in Istanbul when I was like 17 or something. And they had a little tour guide book in our apartment hotel place. And I got it out, and it's like the history of Istanbul and Turkey or something.
Mm-hmm.
I remember flipping through it and going through all the history, and they didn't mention Ataturk at all. No mention of it at all. And I'm like, what's going on here? I turned to the back. I remember seeing this was commissioned at the time by the mayor of Istanbul, who happened to be now the current president of the country.
Oh, wow.
Who has a very negative, shall we say, view of Ataturk because he's wanting to go more back toward the Islamicization route. And, so there's obviously a lot of geopolitics there.
Yeah,
and
and
stuff.
one
I'm
of
not
the
gonna get into it, but
symbolisms
like,
That
of
was
it.
fun
But-
modern geopolitics.
wasn't that fun? Okay, let me cook a
One of
little bit.
the-
I had something.
Okay.
Absolute cinema.
Okay, honestly, you want to hear something crazy?
Yeah.
I have my own Ataturk story. I do.
is your Ataturk story?
Audience, hey
I
guys,
have
send
my
in
own.
your
Send in
Ataturk
your
story.
Atatürk story.
No, this is
Unsung
insane.
I
heroes.
don't have an Ataturk story.
Okay.
Johnny.
What's your Ataturk
Okay,
story?
so
Simon?
this is my Ataturk
Oh,
story.
I know this one. This is a
This
great.
is okay. When you started talking about him, I'm like, I have to bring this up.
Yes.
So about 4 or 5 years ago, my family and I, we took a vacation in Istanbul. And this was early November. We were just touring Istanbul. We were in like one of the busiest parts of the city. I think it might have been Taksim Square is what it's called. Taksim.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct pronunciation.
Correct it. Yes. So anyway, we get out there in the morning and we notice that there are just a lot of people out, like a lot of guards and a lot of like police force is just kind of, they're not like, I don't know. It's just more than you would expect,
Right.
just kind of wandering around. And we start walking down the street and we notice that people are just kind of being weird. Like they start
being
Sam's
weird.
like, here we go again.
no, right. No, but what they're doing is they're like, people are starting to come out of their houses and like coming out of their shops. And we're like, okay, this is a little strange. And everybody's kind of getting quiet.
Uh-oh.
And
I love knowing where this is going, but watching Johnny and James
Right.
like, what is
Okay,
going on?
I don't know what I would be doing.
so
at this
they're
point.
like, everybody's just kind of coming out of their houses and shops. And we're walking down the street. And then we realize that nobody's moving at all. And we're like, okay, what should we do?
Mannequin challenge.
Right. Like everybody is just kind of standing there and we keep walking. And then we hear this siren go out across the city. like this loud siren goes off and everybody's standing still, like completely like statues.
That's
and
gonna be terrifying.
We're like, what on earth is going on right now? And we're remembering that we just saw like this giant police force out. We're like, what on earth is happening? Like, is there about to be a bomb dropped on us or something? And then the siren goes for, I don't know, maybe like a minute or so. And then it goes off and then everybody goes back to their day. And everybody just like pretends nothing happened.
That's crazy.
Bro, this is like a real like
So strange.
like pluribus or something. Like,
Right.
I would
It
be
was like,
afraid
it was out of a
everybody's-
movie. It
No,
was so
I
weird.
can imagine after they start gaslighting you, like, what was that about?
Right,
And he's
I
like,
was
what do you
like,
mean?
What are you talking about? I've been in here the whole time.
Right. So
tea.
we tried figuring out what was happening, but it was only later when I started talking with Daniel about this that he kind of fully explained what was going on. So if you can like help fill in the details.
So at the hour of Atatürk's death,
I figured. Yeah.
every year, there's a minute where the siren plays and people stop what they're doing in honor of remembering him. So people literally like in the Boğaziçi Köprüsü, which is the main bridge over the Bosphorus Straits, they'll literally just get out of their cars, which I honestly don't know how, like I haven't been there in years, so I don't know how much it gets honored anymore or to what extent. But I remember as a kid, like people just get out of their cars and the whole like traffic would stop and people just get out, you just wait for a minute and then you go back to life.
Interesting.
So
Well, we were on one of the walking streets, so some people might have been getting out of might have been
So
getting
you
out
were
of the
there
cars.
as that happened. Then.
and this is 4 or 5 years
So-
ago. So just to show you, like we're coming up on what, like almost 100 years after
Right.
his death.
So
and
they're
like,
still doing
the
that.
whole country's still honoring
yeah.
it. So
Well,
it's pretty big.
you know, it's weird, but it is also weird that we have multiple Atatürk stories
yes.
that we can share.
I love that.
I
Atatürk
feel so
story.
left out.
Oh, come on, bro.
Johnny.
I'm sorry. I got to go to Istanbul
Maybe
more.
you can get your own Atatürk
Yeah.
story one day.
But you've been to Turkey, right?
I've been. Oh yeah, I've been several times.
See,
But
everyone's been to Turkey.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, nothing Atatürk
You've
related
seen a
really
picture of him.
I feel
happened
like-
while
You've seen
I
a
was
picture
there.
of him somewhere.
Our
Yeah.
audience is going to be like, how on
Yes.
earth?
This is a pretty well-traveled group.
We're
over
pretty-
here,
Yeah,
so,
yeah, it's all
Yeah.
good.
Anyway,
Good.
that is the life of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. All right, you say it. Mustafa Kemal Atatürk.
It's just like a basic
All right, Johnny.
thing. Say his name. Say it.
Mustafa Kemal Atatürk.
It's pretty good, Sam.
Say, okay,
Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. I
Mustafa Kemal Atatürk.
think Johnny's pretty. it's
Mustafa
probably the best.
Kemal
I mean,
Atatürk.
Kemal.
Kemal.
Kemal.
Kemal.
Kemal.
Turkish has that kind of
Turkish is like
at the end of
a
the L's, it's very like,
Latinized version of
I don't know
Arabic
what
in
it
a
is
way,
in
or
Arabic, but
Persian.
in Persian, the word for perfect means kamel. Sure,
Yeah, so it's like
kamel.
the, I guess like the Latinized version,
Yeah.
Kemal. Yeah. So,
Very cool.
which is one of the things Atatürk did is change the alphabet to Latin. So,
yes, that's right. Which also
mention
again
that,
definitely
but-
ingratiates it toward the
Yes,
West. This
yeah,
is very
100%, yeah.
It's interesting that Cyrillic has maintained its own Russian alphabet, still distinct, but there are some countries even under Russia's influence
Yeah.
are trying to do that as well. Like
Well, Kazakhstan
trying to
recently,
do that,
yeah.
which is crazy, right? Yeah.
If our audience doesn't know our background, they're like, why did they just bring Kazakhstan? Anyway, that is the life of Atatürk. Thanks for listening.
Yes,
And
Great.
you-
I'm
that
so
was great.
I'm so glad it's finally happened after
Finally, the
since
world
sixth
knows
grade,
about
Daniel.
I know.
We've been waiting.
Now you got it out of your system. Now we can move on to heroes that are actually unsung.
Whoa. Honestly, a part of it definitely was laziness. I just needed to pick something that I.
But honestly,
had knowledge
I found it very
guarantee you
interesting.
most Americans, again, those that study history, I'm sure, but most Americans aren't going to know about Kemal Atatürk, and it's fascinating.
Well, season 1, we ranked, I think, like 61 in podcasts in Switzerland for like a week.
for history.
there are
yeah.
61 podcasts.
We are
in
worldwide.
Switzerland.
Yeah, it's not.
At the
I don't
time.
know how hard it is to get on that list, but I don't know how much they know about Atatürk. Maybe they know
Honestly,
a lot
Europe
more.
probably is a little more.
You know,
strict
though,
than
this
that.
might shoot up our rankings in Turkey.
Oh.
Shilling for Turkey.
Selamun
Let's go.
aleyküm, kardeşlerim. That's it.
Merhaba.
Merhaba. Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
All right. Well, Johnny and James,
yeah.
you know,
now-
as I was doing this research, I wondered what type of music would you guys come up with
This
for
one's
the
tough.
founder of a nation?
Because I don't want to get angry emails
Yeah,
and
this
messages
is-
from
it has
Turks.
to be. No, it has to be a very worthy song,
on
right?
behalf of my countrymen.
That's a lot of pressure, man.
I free you of any pressure. It can be whatever. It can be a
Okay,
Evanescence,
at the end
like,
of the song,
you
we're
know,
having
rocks.
you say,
No,
please do not
honestly-
be mad. I give them my full approval.
Yes. In
Honestly,
Turkish,
I think we
disclaimer.
need to stay away from actual Turkish
Oh, yeah.
genres.
Oh,
of
yeah,
music.
100%.
Do like an American
Yeah.
folk
Like,
song.
we need
As
to do-
Western as can
right,
be,
yeah,
whatever
we need-
that means.
Yeah, we need to do
I was thinking like a very like
like a Katy Perry style pop song. No, I'm just kidding.
so you know those like
no.
I guess kind of punk rock, but like epic punk rock. You know what I'm talking about? It has to get a little bit of angst to it and like a anthem-esque type
Yeah.
feel to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see what you guys come up with.
yeah,
I know.
For our audience, what will happen after this episode is over is we'll roll right into the song that James and Johnny come up with. It's generally James and Johnny. If we can get together, like the Grandma Gatewood song, we do it, but mostly it's them two. So
Yep.
Yeah,
they're
we
the
this
geniuses
This will be a
behind it.
challenge.
The
Yeah, thanks for that.
geniuses.
Thanks for that, Daniel.
The Black
This is-
Boys.
Ataturk. Oh yeah, because we title the songs the name of the unsung hero we're singing about. So we're
Yeah.
gonna have a song out there that's just called Ataturk, and so when people Google him, it might come up.
might
and they're
come
gonna be
up.
like,
What is this?
and that's where they're gonna get their information.
That's
about
pretty funny.
Ataturk.
That's pretty fun.
Wow.
That's a lot of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure, Daniel.
Yikes. Well, there's already so
buried
much about him.
somewhere.
I don't think this song
It'll
will
get
come up
buried
on
somewhere,
Google, so
hopefully.
it'll get
Yeah.
buried. Anyway,
Yeah.
any closing remarks
Some
for
like
anyone?
famous celebrity in Turkey like retweets the song.
Yes.
It's like, hey, check
That's
out this
what
song.
we're
Honestly,
No.
like what I now hope for this song is that it gets buried in the internet and never listened to.
Whoa. I'm sure it's going to be another gem
How about
of
we
Johnny
never
Sieber.
mention his name in the song, but like
Right.
insinuate,
Keep it ambiguous.
Like, keep it ambiguous.
I like
This
that.
could apply to any.
But the
it could
title
be
of the
Napoleon.
song is
Napoleon.
Could be
Ataturk.
Napoleon.
Could be
it could be-
Atatürk. Could be Lincoln, apparently.
We just titled the song like "Some Guy."
Some guy who started the country.
Yeah.
A Napoleon figure.
A Napoleon
Alright.
type figure.
All right, we'll finish it off. Thank you to our audience, as always, for listening. Next episode will be Samuel, I think, presenting.
Yes, that's
if
right.
everything goes according to plan. So keep listening to this podcast. Thank you for being here.
Thanks,
See you.
guys.
Thanks.
Catch you on the next one.
See ya.
Rising up through the ranks, gonna know my name. Gotta keep it together, it's a tricky game. Can't tear us apart. Although they're trying, facing off with the Brits, can't get rid of me. Closing in, but we stand at Gallipoli. Win the battle, lose the war. Oh no, throw the Sultan out the door. Atatürk, he can turn this nation around. Do the work, build this country up from the ground. Fireworks, new life in 1923. You heard it from me, good sir. Gaining Turkey's liberty. Atatürk.
Türk milleti çalışkandır. Türk milleti zeki.
He's in charge, but he still has so much to do. Modernize, organize, bring this place into the 20th century. Let's go, Mustafa. Drop the fez, cause he says that it don't look cool. Wear a suit and a tie, go to Western school. Move the capital away. Where? Ankara is where it stays.